Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Women of Golf. This is another Tuesday morning, December the 16th. Boy, they'll tell you the year's almost over, and I'm excited about the holidays coming up. But before I get blabbering on here, let me bring out my co-host here, LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and of course I'm your host, Ted Odorico, and we're excited to be here. Cindy, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that just literally, I guess, a little over a week, and we're going to be celebrating the Christmas holidays.
We are.
Yeah, I'm. Are you ready?
No. Are you?
No, no, neither am I. I've got a few last-minute gifts to get and wrap. Of course, typical mail. I got to wait till everything gets to the crunch time, but I'll get it all done.
I'm
sure.
That makes it more fun.
Yeah, I know. I can remember, I can reflect back when I was younger, my mother and I used to go out literally on Christmas Eve, and she'd be running around getting those last, few minute items for the stocking or what have you, and she'd drag me along with her, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second, Cindy, but let me just remind everybody, of course, we're live Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern Time here on blogtalkradio.com. And quickest way to get us, of course, is to visit that website, blogtalkradio.com, and up in the search key, you can just type Women of Golf, and that'll take you right to our home page, and you can listen to the live broadcast as it comes up each week. And for those of you that maybe missed some of the previous aired broadcasts, they are, as I've mentioned many times, they are auto-recorded while we're making the broadcast. So if you miss us live, you can certainly tune in afterwards and listen. And also new, and even Cindy, I haven't even mentioned this to you yet, we're now available for download through iTunes. So if you have an iPhone or an iPad, you can actually go to the podcast section of iTunes Store, and you can type in, again, Women of Golf, and that'll take you right to the page there, and all of the episodes that we've broadcast this year are there available, so you can download in case you missed any throughout the season. So make sure you do that. Always we want to hear from you. We hope that you'll call in, and the number you can reach us here is area code 347-945-5855. That's 347-945-5855. And, of course, you can always email the program if you're interested in either coming on the show or just want to make some comments or have questions about what we're doing here. And you can do that at womenofgolf@gmail.com. And always you can reach either Cindy or myself directly. Cindy, you can reach her at cindy@cindymillergolf.com if you want to reach out and talk to Cindy. And you can also reach me here at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. We got a great show for you today. This is going to be our last show, of course, of 2014. We're going to take a little bit of a break and be back about the middle of January. I think we're going to come back online here. So just a well-deserved rest. We've had a great year here. We've got an interesting guest coming up. Neither one of us have actually had the pleasure of really dealing with this young lady, but she's going to be coming on. Her name is Sarah Forrest, and she's the managing director of Red Tea Break Limited, which is a travel business over in England. So she's going to be calling in from across the pond, as they say, and joining us here shortly. But stick around, and Cindy, as I was saying, Christmas is fast approaching, and we're all trying to get ready for the holidays. And have you guys still got snow up there in Buffalo?
We don't.
You mean you dug yourself out?
We did. It's funny. We had, some places had 6 feet of snow, and then about a week later we had none because it melted. And the flooding was not as bad as they expected it to be, thank goodness, because that would have been terrible.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize, especially for those down here. Of course, I'm down in Florida right now. A lot of people don't realize if you've never been up in the Northeast. Obviously we're used to getting snow up there. I'm, of course, mentioned many times I'm originally from Canada, and we get our fair share of snow. But Buffalo is right in that snow belt area, and quite often get some heavy thrashings, if you will, of snow. But I think that was even unusual for you guys, right?
Yeah, it's the most snow that's ever fallen ever in a 48-hour period. So it was really something else.
Yeah, I can bet.
I mean, people died in their cars because no one could find them.
Yeah, I can.
Really.
Yeah, the last big snowfall I really remember, growing up that was really severe was back. There was a storm, and I'm sure it probably affected you guys there. I was, of course, raised around the Burlington-Hamilton area, which is just outside of Toronto. And back in the winter of 1977, they had a very severe storm that went through the area. And as I said, I'm sure you probably had some bad weather there as well. And it was quite thick. It lasted for several days actually. And but I don't remember if we got 6 feet or not. But we certainly had a lot of snow, and it was. I spent many days shoveling as a kid, and I'm glad I'm down here in Florida now. Let me tell you. But
absolutely.
Anyway. Yeah, but anyways, Signe, I know you got a lot of interesting things coming up. Why don't you just take a few moments and just tell us some of the things that you've got coming up? I know you're going to be playing out in the Legends Tour, of course, in 2015, but what are some other things that you're excited about coming up in the new year?
Well, I have just signed on with Trilogy Athletes to be a member chair in their community, which is a community of elite professional athletes and Olympians.
Oh, wow.
And they can be current athletes or former athletes. And Trilogy is patterned after Tech Canada and Vistas International, which is a membership group for presidents, or YPO, it's Young Presidents Organization. So I'm really excited because I'm going to be building my group of professional athletes, either current or past, who are very committed to their continuing success. So
right.
I'm real excited. And Trilogy's from Toronto. The people that created this are from Toronto.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I'm very, very excited. So I'm looking to build my group of, committed, dedicated people who really want to continue being successful beyond their game, and so they could be from anywhere in the world.
Right. And, just for those of you that maybe are tuning in to the broadcast for the first time here, let me just remind you a little bit about Cindy. Cindy, of course, is an LPGA professional, and she currently plays on the Legends Tour, which is really just filled with some terrific ladies. We're going to talk about a few of them a little bit later on after our guest has been on the program. But also Cindy is a very accomplished teacher professional as well. And you really got your hat in quite a few rings, don't you, Cindy?
Well, you know what it all boils down to? Choosing to get better, So I think golf pros, teaching professionals, are helping people get better. And it's more than just a game. And because of my own, I call myself a living laboratory because I'm trying to figure out why I don't play better or do better. So because I've tried to investigate me, I've come upon, things that help me get better and figure out ways to perform and be less fearful. And I've become certified in different behavioral things, and I'm very interested in becoming all that you can be. And I think that a life is a terrible thing to waste, and I don't believe that I've ever met anyone who's tried to waste theirs on purpose. So if you live in a free country, you've got the freedom to make choices to change your life. And I believe that most people make mistakes that they don't really, I want to do this so I can screw myself up.
Right.
So that's my little spiel-y.
And what's interesting, you really mentioned something that's really quite interesting, and I don't think a lot of people really realize about those in the golf profession is that we're always learning as well. It's not just about teaching, students that we're working with, but we also find ways that we can learn, to improve our own games and just to bring our level of instruction a little bit higher each time. So, that's interesting that you say that because, as you said, you're a working laboratory and you're always trying to find a way to make that transition, if you will, even better for yourself.
Yeah, that's just the way I do things. Maybe, I'm a sick puppy, but that's the way I do things. In fact, I just went and played I had the pleasure of playing with Anne-Marie Pauly from France in the LPGA Team Championship. Mm-hmm. And, people might say, well, why'd you go all the way out there? Well, number one, it's fun, and we played at the beautiful Palm Valley Country Club, and Maria Falquet is the head pro, and the tournament's been there forever, but I've never been to this venue. And I just wanted to challenge myself. I found something at the last Legends Tour event. I was fortunate enough to have a lesson from Bob Toski.
Yeah.
And my big thing is flipping it left and standing over the ball, feeling yucky, like, oh, don't swing. This is going to be bad. And I don't want to play golf that way. And so I'm very glad, that I went out to the tournament. We shot 68, 64. We ended up tying for 12th, but there's an awful lot of LPGA Tour players playing. So anyway, point being is you can always get better and you can always fix things, no matter how long you've played, because I've been around forever.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great ladies in golf. I had the pleasure this past Thursday of last week, of course, on the other program that I work on, Golf Talk Live. I had Donna White from South Florida, who I know you're familiar with.
She's a gem.
Yeah, and very, very hard, much like yourself, very hardworking, just really dedicated to the game and been around for quite some time, just involved not only as a player earlier on, but, obviously in the teaching end of it as well. And, of course, she was just recently inducted into the LPGA Teachers and Club Professionals Hall of Fame. So she was certainly very humble, but very excited about that. So I told her, I said that the next show that you and I did together, that I would say hello on her behalf. So hello.
She's awesome. I love her. She's a mentor and a hard worker. She is. She's crazy.
Yeah, she's and that's something that's interesting, and not to take away from I know there's a lot of hardworking guys out there as well, but something I've noticed here this last year, since we've started doing this broadcast, is there's a lot of hard working women out there in this profession, isn't there?
It sure is. There's a lot of leaders. There's just there's a lot of very, very successful, hardworking women who don't really do what they do to get accolades. They do it from the heart.
Yeah, very, very humble, of course, all of them. Of course, last week we had one of them, Jane Blaylock, of course, involved running up the Legends Tour and other things as well, but very, very hard, always reaching out, always trying to help grow this game, and we've had some great. We're going to talk about a few of them a little bit later in the show, but just a lot of great ladies out there, and we'll as I said, we'll talk a little bit about that. This, of course, is may have mentioned, this is going to be the last broadcast of the 2014 season for us. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and as I said, be back in about the middle of January. We'll start up again. Going to take a little bit extra break, I guess, and just sort of get prepared for the new season. But it's been a lot of fun. As I said, I always learn something too when listening to the guests and what it is that they do, and it always gives me sort of pause for thought and think, that kind of sounds something that maybe I want to look into or try for myself. And it's always, I think it's interesting when you interview some of these great ladies that have been on the show. And I think the number one thing which you just mentioned that sort of sticks out is how humble they are.
Well, I don't think, again, they're not doing it for the accolades. They're doing it because they're driven to help people. And themselves, and they're just, leaders.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I see that our guest is ready here, so I'm just going to do an introduction here, and we'll bring Sarah out on here. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Sarah Forrest, the Managing Director of Red Tea Breaks Limited, all the way from England, is going to be joining us here in just a moment. But let me just tell you a little bit about her. She's a member of the International Golf Travel Writers Association, and with certainly an enthusiastic and versatile mind, she can adapt to really any occasion and often thinks on her feet to produce high-quality articles for both radio and magazines. With, of course, her English accent, she's often sought out in a crowd as a quick-witted and able to morph into a variety of situations, so I'm sure it'll be fun. With a keen sense of humor, she's a good crowd worker, and she considers herself a reasonable golfer who has used her golfing knowledge to manage events as well as being able to understand the requirements of the lady golfer without compromising other golfers. Writing about her experiences is the next natural step, and hence the Red Tea Breaks blog spot, which we'll tell you about here in a second. Also, she's written about golf equipment and product reviews for the everyday lady golfer, which she holds in high regard with manufacturers such as Sun Mountain. Following her golf excursions, Sarah is often blogging about her experience to share with other golfers. The blog attracts, of course, an international audience. Without further hesitation, let me bring on our guest this morning. Good morning. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello. How are you doing?
We're doing very well. Thank you for joining us here this morning on the Women of Golf.
Thank you for having me.
We're glad to have you, Sarah. I thought probably the most obvious thing to really start the conversation off to ask you about is obviously you're not per se what we would traditionally call in the golf profession as an instructor or a professional player, but you've certainly gravitated here recently to the golf industry, and we'll let you talk a little bit more. But tell us about your first golfing experience. What sort of got you hooked into the game?
It was my mother-in-law. I can blame my mother-in-law for this one, and yes, I am still married. She bought me for my 40th birthday half a dozen lessons as a golf professional. I went for one lesson, and I was hooked. I think it was possibly that they gave me a free 7-iron as well, which obviously helped. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it and stayed with the sport and have been playing for, oh my goodness, I'm going to give my age away now, but 10 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the sport.
And, is there any, specific area of the game that you really enjoy? Actually, let me rephrase that, Sarah. What do you consider your strengths in golf? What would you consider your best asset when out there on the golf course? Would it be your short game or?
Well, no, I'm like most golfers that aren't PGA professionals. I can be very good at some things one day and then terrible the next at the same thing. So no, I wouldn't consider that I have a particular thing that's really good. I can hit a fair drive, and usually that's probably my strength. But occasionally I can putt well. Occasionally I can do short game well. I think really the key asset is I generally have fun. I always have a bit of a laugh on the golf course. I always have fun with the people I play with. Even when they don't want to have fun with me, they end up having fun because it's just such a silly sport, really, at the end of the day, and you've just got to laugh at it, get on, enjoy it, and make the most of it.
Exactly. Now, Sarah, I know that you're certainly an accomplished writer, and you've created a number of articles for both radio and magazines. Was this something that was a passion for you, or did it just sort of fall into place?
It kind of fell into place, if I'm really honest. I've always been a sports person. I used to play competition squash at quite a high level, and I was playing six nights a week. So I think I'm a sports person. Golf just happened, really, because, I was given the opportunity. I can't really say that I went out and sought it particularly. It happened to me, and it happened very well. I've obviously built the industry, my livelihood, around the sport as well. And writing has, I think because I enjoy it, and it's quite obvious I enjoy it, I write as I speak, so it often comes across as a great fun to be with and a good laugh. And that's very important, I think. I think two people get stressed by the sport, and it's not worth it.
Right, and obviously, and Cindy here, of course, Cindy Miller, the co-host of the program here, is with us as well, and I know that she obviously plays on the professional level on the Legends Tour here in the United States, but also is a very accomplished teacher professional as well, and Cindy, obviously, in addition to helping your students with their game, first and foremost, you want them to have fun, don't you?
Absolutely. If they don't have fun and don't enjoy being out there, there's no sense in doing it, because you're right. People do get awfully bent out of shape, I guess you can say, and it's just not worth the effort.
Right, exactly.
I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Now, Sarah, I know that you do a lot of work in helping the lady golfers out there have fun, of course, but enjoy the game. Tell us a little bit about, I know that you obviously have a business, Red Tea Breaks Limited, that puts together some great packages and things over in Europe, and particularly obviously in England and Scotland. Tell us a little bit about Red Tea Breaks, how that sort of came about, and what some of the great things that you're doing with that business.
Certainly, yeah. I think in my life I tend to see opportunities and take them. I often don't let them go by. I'll take the opportunity, and I had the opportunity about 5 years ago to set up Red Tea Breaks because basically I was changing jobs, and there was, well, what shall I do now kind of moments. I know, why don't I set Red Tea Breaks up? And that's how it happened, and that sounds very flippant, but that's kind of how it really did happen. It's always been a sport that I'd been playing for 5 years at that time, and thought, well, there isn't anybody in the UK that actually specialises in a lady golfer. So that's why the company came about, because we wanted to specialise in a lady golfer. The reality is probably about 80% of our football traffic is the lady golfer, but we do actually have a number of men that use our services as well. So that's one of our specialisms, but it's not exclusive to, which is rather nice as well, because it means that men can get involved if they want to or not. But it is rather unique.
Do you find, Sarah, with the same over there? Like, give you an example here. In the United States, of course, women have been involved, particularly at the playing level and the professional level for a number of years. We've got some great ladies that have come up through the ranks. Kathy Whitworth, who, of course, is our first guest here on the program. Nancy Lopez, Rosie Jones, just a myriad of great ladies that have come up through the ranks. And, of course, some of the younger guns now. But really, it's been kind of a slow growth until recently for women in golf. It's traditionally been a male sport, and now, of course, there are a lot of hardworking ladies like Cindy Miller and others out there that are helping, really allowing women to take a foothold. Did you find it a little bit of a challenge early on trying to get some of the ladies out there to play?
Yeah, it is. I mean, even now, there's not a lot of ladies. If we're looking at 20% as an average of ladies in the golf club membership, that's not very high, and some of them are as low as 10%. So it's not particularly high numbers. And also then you can break those down in probably almost about 85% versus 15% of working and non-working ladies. So it's still seen as a little bit of a, dare I say it, please don't shoot me, but a little bit of an old lady sport. And it isn't, it's a very good way to get out there, keep fit, meet new friends, get in the fresh air. And it's a shame that it's still seen that way. But it is, it's obviously in the UK and over Europe we've had Annika Sorensen and we've had Laura Davis, who are our leaders, if you like, our foremothers. But they have been, as they have in the US, been overtaken by some great people like Charlie Hull. There's no stopping Charlie Hull at the moment. She's doing wonderfully. So I think there's definitely a tide of change in the offering, and I think it is being a little bit more acceptable and attractive for younger girls to get involved.
Yeah, and certainly a lot of the great work that's gone on here on the LPGA Tour, both here in the United States and, of course, abroad, with some of these younger guns, if you will, coming up through the ranks, and golf becoming such a global sport now in recent years has really opened a lot of people's eyes, and I think that they're starting to do that. And Cindy, let me ask you, I want to bring you in on this next thought here. Obviously, you're seeing here in the United States, and Sarah, I want to get you to chime in as well, of course, as our guest. But obviously, there's sort of a big surgence, if you will, of women professionals. And I'm not talking about golf professionals. I'm talking about in business who are gravitating to golf as an effective business tool. It's been very widely known that golf has been a great tool and a great asset, for businessmen, but it's been very slow growing for early on for women. Now, as more women get into the workplace, they're seeing the benefits of that social and communications on the golf course. Cindy, obviously, you're finding that a lot here in the States.
Absolutely. I think that we are reaching out to more and more women to help them learn to be comfortable so that they can, play and use the game as a relationship building tool and a networking tool, and there's so many programs coming about to help women feel comfortable and learn how to play and have a good time no matter what their skill level. So I'm not sure if that's happening in England as well. Is it, Sarah?
Well, it is. It's a little bit more subtle than that, insofar as, for example, I've taught, not me personally, but I've had my children, my two girls, have learned how to play golf. Not that they particularly want to play golf, but I think it's an excellent business tool later on when they work their way up the corporate ladder. And that's a skill they will never lose, thanks to great teachers like yourself, Cindy, because they will always have those basic skills that they can build upon. I myself have actually got a job when I was playing golf on the golf course one time. So it definitely is an excellent business tool.
And Sarah, obviously it's growing, as I mentioned, all over the world. Golf. I mean, we're seeing a lot of great young ladies coming out of some of the Asian areas, such as Korea has been very dominant on the LPGA tour, and some of the other areas now. So it's certainly in the ladies' market particularly, it's really starting to take root, and certainly has a long way to go to catch up with the men's. But I'm seeing now sort of a trend in golf where the men's side of things is sort of, I won't say coming to a stop, but sort of petering out, and I'm seeing a more growth, in my opinion anyways, in the ladies' market. I think that's where the game is really starting to grow. Is that something that you're seeing in England as well?
It definitely is. It's something that I have noticed whilst going to the Ricoh Women's British Open, which is an LPGA event. Also, I go to some of the LET events and have a mooch around there too. But something that I have noticed is the amount of male spectators to the ladies' tournaments, the top tournaments. And you get the opportunity to talk to some of these chaps as to why they may all prefer to go and watch the ladies. And it's an interesting viewpoint that they have. And quite often the response that they get back is they learn more by watching the ladies than they do by watching the men, because they can associate with what the ladies are doing, and they can assimilate and be able to copy what the ladies are doing, because that's more their game, and it's they don't feel threatened at all by it, which is wonderful. They're feeling embraced by the ladies' sport, but certainly the LET isn't as big as the LPGA, and certainly not as big as the Asia Tour either. But there are some good young girls coming up through the ranks now, as there are in the US.
Yeah, and Cindy, also, I think you would agree that we're starting to see more couples as well, working together and getting into the game. Cindy, do you find yourself experiencing that as well over here in the US with more couples?
I do. I have husbands and wives that come in together, and I have husbands that come in whose wives are afraid to play, and I encourage them to bring their wife in for a lesson, and I can really help her. She can have fun, so you can go do things together, go on trips. She doesn't have to play all the time, but that's definitely happening, which is great.
Well, I think one of the things...
bring some of those ladies to the UK.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, why don't you take a few moments and tell us a little bit what you're doing with Red Tea Breaks. I know that you obviously have a travel component with it, and you're offering some great opportunities for people not only there in the UK and around that area, but also, as you just mentioned, would love to invite some of those ladies and or couples from the United States to come over. So tell us a little bit, if you would, just about some of the things that you're doing there and some of the offers that you have.
Yeah, of course, yeah. We basically run events as well as we have our own golf tour operating company. So people come to us for holidays, golf holidays or golf vacations, as you will, into the UK. We know the UK. I started in the UK 5 years ago. I know the UK very well. I know Europe, but obviously I don't know much beyond there, if I'm really honest. But one has to have a speciality, and that's ours, ladies in the UK. We've got packages ranging from Carnoustie. I'm sure everybody is aware of Carnoustie. Mm-hmm. There's a 5-night package where people can come along. This is a mixed tournament, and we just help them sell it. That's all we do. It's not our event. We just help them sell it. And they can come along and they can play Carnoustie, they can play Panmure, Montrose and Montefiore, which are all amazing links courses. I'm sure you're familiar with them. If you haven't played them, I'm sure you're familiar with them. So you can come along and join the group there, and we've got people coming over from the US for that one too. We have some clients from the US that come over quite frequently, which is quite nice. And then, go on.
Sorry. Go ahead, please.
I was just going to say, then there's obviously we've got the Ricoh Women's British Open, which is in Britain every year, which is a bit of a clue in the name. Next year it's up in Turnberry, so we're building with a local PGA professionals a package for 5 and 7 nights for people to come along and be spectators at the Ricoh, but also to play some of the links courses up around Turnberry as well. So there's those kind of things that we're building, and then we also get people that just inquire generally and say, well, what have you got around London? So we can put them on courses within half an hour of central London. So it's a mixed bag of people, what people might want, and it's an interesting thing to actually sit down and analyse whether people want to sign up for preset programs or whether they want to build their own, and it's really a 50-50 split.
Do you find, and let me just sort of give you an example here, on the men's side of things, we're a pretty simple beast, I think, as you're aware. We like our golf, and we don't really need a lot of outside, maybe a few cold ones afterwards, but we're really fairly simple. We just like to go on a golf trip and play some golf. With the ladies, it's a little bit different. I mean, obviously they enjoy the golf, but they want additional experience as well, maybe a spa experience or something of that nature. What are some of the other things that you're doing to really encourage the ladies to take get involved and besides just the golf aspect of it?
Well, I think it's, if I could just backtrack slightly on that one, I think it's very easy to put the ladies into that golf spa pigeonhole. Everybody loves to play golf. Everybody likes to have a spa treatment. But there is actually so much more to do. For example, if they're up in Scotland or if they're in the Midlands, we can get them round some of the potteries or something like that. So they can even have a go at throwing some pots if that's what they want to do. We're not talking Greek pots. We're talking about on the potter's wheel, that kind of thing. So it's something slightly different that they might want to do, or if there's something, if the area is synonymous to something, we will find it if we don't know it already, and we'll suggest it to them. But even the whiskey tours in Scotland, you might not like whiskey, but you can guarantee that you'll like some of the whiskey on some of the tours because they're actually quite nice.
Right.
So there is so much more to do. But we do try to get them to think outside of the golf and the spa, and we do give them ideas of things that they can do, even if it's just a well-known monument to go and visit or something like that, or if they're in town in London, they can go and visit some of the myriad of attractions in town as well. So they're so different. Each area offers something different.
Right, so there's really a myriad of... Go ahead, Cindy, please.
You had mentioned in your bio about flying into Heathrow and staying in London for a couple of days. How many golf courses are right in London or near Heathrow that we could play?
Oh, gosh. There's probably at least 50 within half an hour that you can get to from London.
Wow.
Oh, wow. And how far is Heathrow from Scotland?
That's a fair drive. So we're looking probably about 10 hours. If you were to drive, and probably I personally think the best way to do it, because obviously you have the time difference to encounter, is to fly into London, have that couple of days R&R, just slightly west of London. We can put you onto a course that's it's famous. We're talking about things to do for James Bond films. So you don't spend a couple of days in this place, and then you can then go back to Heathrow, which is only 20 minutes away from this place, and then continue a journey up to Scotland. But the beauty of that is you've actually seen a little bit of England. You've also got onto the UK time difference, and then you're ready to hit the ground running with golf in Scotland, which is again another ball game. It's super fun.
Sarah, let me just ask you, since you mentioned time, something that I'm sure it's synonymous really all around the globe. It's not just unique to here or in the UK. Obviously, time is something that has become very, very valuable for most people. In fact, the golf industry here in the U.S. has done a number of studies in that here in recent years and have found not so much necessarily in a decline in players, but a decline in the number of rounds. People just have a lot of time restrictions right now. They're just busy holding down a job, or some cases even two jobs, especially with the recent economy. How are you able to sort of deal with that? That obviously has to be an issue for you as well.
When people come on holiday, do you mean?
No, just time in general. Not everybody has, like for instance, here over in the United States, the number of rounds played by the average sort of recreational golfer has decreased a little bit here in the last 5 to 6 years, just because everybody is just got so many things pulling them in, whether it be their work or whether it be, kids doing after school activities. So they're not playing, as many rounds of golf as they did. So are you finding that as well over in the UK because of time restrictions on couples that they're not able to get out there and enjoy as much as maybe they did 10 years ago? Or are you still seeing it as it was?
I don't think it's changing too much. I think you guys are very much the market leaders and things like that. If you look around LinkedIn, you can see all these discussions that are saying that 9 holes are the way to go or 12 holes are the way to go. We do have 12-hole golf courses in the UK still. Some very good ones. Shifton, just off the west coast of Scotland, is a lovely golf course. 12 holes, that's all it offers. And it's great if that's what people want. But no, generally still people play 18 holes. I think the time restriction is almost that balance of life as well. Golf has to be more of a priority on your time for you to really knuckle down and play it properly and be able to do what you want to get out of it. But it can also be a fun sport, and you can just play 9 holes after work. But obviously we are in England, and you can only do that in the summer as well. So we have that time restriction versus daylight.
Right, exactly, and it's the same for us here in the winter months. Of course, I'm here in Florida, so obviously we have a little warmer climate all year round, and can play pretty much all year round in most of Florida. But we do have a shorter day here in the winter months. But I'm certainly not complaining. But it has its restrictions. Yeah. Well, you'll have to come over sometime and enjoy it. But Sarah, let me just, if we can, just sort of wrap up here a little bit. I'd like to give you an opportunity as well, just to let the listeners here in the program know how they can get a hold of you and how they can get more information on Red Tea Breaks if they would choose to make a venture over the Atlantic and take part in some of what you have to offer. So please go ahead.
Okay, my website is www.redteabreaks.com. The easiest way to remember it, in the UK, although I know it's not particular in the US, in the UK the ladies generally play from the red tees. So that's why it's called Red Tea Breaks. It's a spin-on word. People seem to like it. And obviously my info@redteabreaks.com email address, if somebody wants to email me directly, that will come to the office and I'll be able to pick it up just there. But basically just feel free to get in touch and we'll help you where we can. We have another element to the business. It's not my business per se, but it's a thing called Golf Tourism England. What we have noticed, is there's a very good network in Scotland and in Ireland, and to a lesser degree in Wales as well, but there actually isn't anything for England. So as one of the founder members of Golf Tourism England, our drive is to form relationships with golf clubs and professionals and other golf tour operators and try and encourage people to come to England and play more golf courses. People don't understand actually how much there is there in the UK, in England, as opposed to the UK in general. But did you know that approximately 50% of Great Britain's top 100 courses are in England?
How many?
50%.
Wow.
Wow.
Home of approximately 50% of Great Britain and Ireland's top 100 courses in England.
I didn't know that. As I was saying to Cindy, you learn something new every time with our guests coming on the program. Sarah, I would be remiss if I didn't also give you an opportunity to also let the listeners know you've obviously, as mentioned, you're quite an accomplished writer, and you have a regular blog going with a lot of different information, both about equipment but also about just products and so forth. How can they get in touch with your blog if they want to follow along?
Oh, well, I'm a simple person. It's Red Tea-based blogspot. Everything is Red Tea-based. If you punch in Red Tea-based, you will find me somewhere along the line. So it's Red Tea-based blogspot. And basically I write as I speak. It comes out a little bit of a dribble sometimes, but that's kind of how I speak as well.
Well, as I'm sure, and I know that I know it always pays to have a little sense of humor along the way, and I know that you have a refreshing sense of humor, so I'm sure that makes for some interesting reading. But Sarah, Cindy and I want to thank you for coming on the program this morning and sharing the information about what it is that you're doing, and it sounds like you're doing some great work over in the UK, and we certainly are all about growing this game in any way that we can certainly help in the future to spread the word. We'll do our part. But thank you very, very much for joining us this morning here on Women of Golf.
Yes,
and thank you, Cindy, for inviting me.
Well, listen, much continued success.
Get a trip over.
Yeah, yeah, we're looking for an invite, Sarah.
You have an invite plus one. How about that?
That sounds perfect.
What time of year is best to come?
Well, it's a bit. Obviously, Scotland's much colder than England, generally speaking. I mean, it's snowing up there just now. We don't have that. We've still got the blue sky and sunshine, albeit rather cold. But the best time to go to Scotland is probably May time, before the bites, as I call them, come out. On the west coast, you can get bites, so it's much nicer to go sooner rather than into the depths of summer. But when you come to England, you've got a broader scope of time to come. You can come really from May to October. Is probably the best time.
Beautiful. Well, fantastic. Well, again, Sarah, thank you.
Love to see you over.
Well, we're gonna have to make it over at some point, but we certainly appreciate that. But Sarah, again, thank you very, very much for joining us this morning. That's Sarah Forrest, Managing Director of Red Tea Breaks, and thank you for sharing some time with us this morning.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, happy holidays, and we look forward to some more great things at Red Tea Breaks. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Cindy, that was very interesting. You know, it's kind of interesting to see that it doesn't really matter where you are in the globe. Around the globe, I think everybody is sort of shares the same, passion, for golf. I think it's no matter what corner of the world you're in, and it's interesting to see some of the things that she's doing to help grow the game.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's kind of fun to see.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of fun, Cindy, we had really a great year on the show. We started up in April, and here we are in December. As I've mentioned a few times here through the broadcast, we're wrapping up for the end of 2014. We're going to take a little bit of break here. This will be the last show, as mentioned, for the year. And we'll be coming back up sometime around the middle of January. We'll start back up with some new shows and some new guests. But we had some great guests. We had some great ladies stop by, and a few guys too. But the ladies really stuck out to mind. And before I ask you some of your favorites, Cindy, some of my favorites, of course, I really enjoyed Kathy Whitworth, who was our first guest on the program. Of course, a mutual friend of ours, Barbara Gutstadt, who runs the Women's Golf and Concierge in Florida, also travel component as well, and put some great packages together for the ladies. And Carol Mann, of course, was also a very interesting guest. And I would be remiss if I didn't include, of course, your other half, Mr. Alan Miller, who joined us on a few occasions for some conversation. A great guy, and one of the things I really enjoyed about Alan is he's a little bit like me in the sense that he kind of believes in some of the traditions and really keeping things simple and not trying to overcomplicate the golf process. So really enjoyed a lot of them, and of course Jane Blaylock, who's been on the show a few times now, and we know we'll continue to come back. But those were some of my favorites, and we'll talk a little bit more. But Cindy, who were some of your favorites? I know you don't want to narrow anybody down specifically. They were all great, but were there any ones that really sort of stuck out for you?
Definitely Kathy Whitworth, Carol Mann, Jane Blaylock, yes, Barbara. We're trying to set up a trip next year to Casa de Campo, a golf school trip, and maybe some business women's golf schools. Rosie Jones, I thought was great. I liked John Stabler from Golf Sites. There's been so many. I hate to narrow them down, but I'm just grateful that you had the idea to even start the Women of Golf radio program, and that you offered me to help you do it, because I really enjoyed it. It wasn't something I was looking to do, but I'm very grateful that you did do that.
Well, it's as I've said many times, and as I've mentioned to my audience on Golf Talk Live, really the purpose of doing these shows is really twofold. I despite what some might think, I don't do it to hear myself talk. I can do that without coming online, but I just enjoy doing something that I know will help grow the game, and obviously I have a passion for, and this is something that I got, of course, from my mother. I just have a great passion for women, and that they do such a great job in every aspect of life, and I know that they want to be part of this great industry, and I just think that there's so much potential to grow this game in that market. And I think a program that's really sort of focusing on, their needs and what they're interested in, and showcasing some of the great ladies that we just mentioned here a moment ago, and many, many more to come, I think is really what sort of started this. I did the other program. I started it a few years ago, and it's become very, very successful. And I know this will continue to grow and become that as well. Obviously, the women's market is smaller right now, but it's growing in leaps and bounds in many ways. So I appreciate the comment, and I thank you very much for that. And I'm certainly glad, as much as I enjoy doing my Golf Talk Live program, it's kind of nice to have somebody alongside here to help navigate through the conversation. So I appreciate you, Cindy, and all the hard work that you do, and thank you.
Let me ask you a question. Were you surprised to find so many women in the background working so hard to help build up this game?
I'll be honest. Yes, I was. I know that I know that there's a lot of hardworking women out there, but I've been really surprised. As I've been sifting through, speaking with different people, not just here on the programs, but obviously I have to get guests and things for Golf Talk Live, and Cindy, you've been terrific and really compiling a lot of great guests for this show here. Obviously, Cindy, being on the Legends Tour, has access to a lot of great lady professional golfers who have some still play and some teach as you do. But yeah, it was kind of interesting because I think one of the things, and I don't mean to say this in a way that's going to bash the industry, but I think that really the golf industry needs to showcase some of these ladies in a better light than what they've done. I think that there's some terrific ladies who are really, really working hard, Cindy, and I think that more often than not, and I know they're all humble, and I know that they're not doing it for the accolades, as you've indicated, but I think that the golf industry really needs to, and I think if they do, I think you're going to see even a bigger surgence of women wanting to get in and participate in the game. Don't you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you. You are right on the money.
And I think that we're going to do, our part here by bringing this. I know that all the time when I'm putting the posts out through different social media about the programs coming up, I get a lot of very interesting feedback and a lot of support. People are obviously some that tune into the program on a regular basis, and others that maybe didn't know that it was happening, and it's piqued their interest. And what's interesting is one of the great things about this particular format of doing an online broadcast like this is you're not limited to a local market. You're really, anybody within, 2 steps of whether it be a computer, iPhone, iPad, smartphone, any of the electronics can access this program. And there's just so many avenues, and social media has become a fantastic tool for getting the messages out there. And it's fun. I enjoy doing these. I look forward each week to doing these programs, and it really doesn't take a great deal of time really to prepare them. We obviously have our guests and get a little bit of information and background from them, and then we're able to sort of put something together here, and it just makes it fun and it's interesting. But yeah, I think there's a lot of great ladies out there that are doing a fantastic job, yourself up in the forefront, and I think that the more that you and I and some of these great ladies work to expose golf to the ladies' market, I think it's only going to benefit the game as a whole.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and one of the things that Cindy, that I want to do with this program, and I'm glad that you're going to continue on in 2015 with me. I look forward to that. Is adding a little bit of a travel component to it, and what I mean by that, and for those listening out there, is we want to look at maybe some opportunities of bringing the program maybe to a live event and doing a broadcast from there. So we're going to be working on that behind the scenes here, but and just to make it a little bit more interesting, and maybe even I've got some ideas that Cindy and I are going to be talking about here over the next little bit, but maybe even working in a live video component as well, working that into the mix periodically, at least to start, where we can actually maybe feature some great guests and have maybe a clinic or something of that effect. So not only will you be able to listen to the program, but you'll be able to see who's on the program and also some of the things that they're doing in the industry to help grow that. So I'm excited about 2015. I know that there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of possibilities, and I think, Cindy, if we keep doing what we've been doing, I know that it's going to grow to be a very successful show.
You know what I'd like to ask? I'd like to ask our listeners to please email us any questions or comments or what they would like to hear on the program. What is it that we've missed or we could add to make this better? And please, either email Ted or me. My email is cindy@cindymillergolf.com.
Yeah, and mine is ted.golftalklive@gmail.com, or you can also email to the womenofgolf@gmail.com if you want. But that's a great idea. We want to hear from you. We want to know, obviously, that you've enjoyed the program, and we're going to continue to do that. But we also want to know your thoughts. What do you think we could add to the program to make it something that would be more enjoyable and that we maybe haven't done so far? Obviously, this was really sort of a testing ground, Cindy, to be honest, for the first little while, was just to kind of get our feet wet with this program and sort of introduce it. There's endless possibilities that we can do with this, but we want to hear from the audience and, what areas of the industry are you most interested in that you would like to hear about? Maybe some guests. Maybe you know somebody in the golf industry, whether it be a professional in the teaching end, playing end, or maybe even in the manufacturing end or beyond, or maybe that just has a great golf business that you think could be showcased here, and you'd like to hear that. Email us, Cindy@cindymillergolf.com, or myself, ted.golftalklive@gmail.com, and we look forward to hearing from you about that. And we're going to do a lot of great things, you and I, Cindy, with this. And I know that you've got a lot of hard work on the the Legends Tour, and also in your own business, Cindy Miller Golf. But it's time to take a rest and and have a little vacation. And one of the things I just want to, I would be remiss for not mentioning, for those of you that maybe haven't followed along here until recently, I want to encourage you to go back to the earlier programs, because Cindy had a great series called Own Your Game that I think actually went across about 12 different broadcasts, if I'm not mistaken. So it was quite a long series, but we broke it up into components. Go back and listen to those episodes if you've missed them. You can do it a couple of ways. You can go to www.blogtalkradio.com, type in Women of Golf, and you can go back and listen through the archive, and they're numbered there so you can see them quite readily. Or, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the program, if you're somebody that has an iPhone or an iPad, you can download the episodes now in iTunes, so you can just go there under the podcast section. You can download them there. But I strongly suggest you, it was obviously a big component on the mental side of things, which Cindy has mentioned many times on the program is very, very important. So I want to encourage you, and you can also find out more about that by visiting cindymillergolf.com. Cindy, any final closing thoughts that you'd like to express?
I don't think so. I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to help you, join you, and this has been a treat and a pleasure, and hopefully next year we're going to make it even more exciting and better and bring our listeners something that they can't find elsewhere. Exactly. And I would just like to, at this time, just these last few moments, I would like to, on behalf of Cindy Miller and myself, we would like to take this opportunity to thank all of the listeners from around the world for tuning in. We particularly want to thank all of our guests in 2014 for joining us and sharing their thoughts and their views with us. And we certainly look forward to taking a little bit of a break, but we look forward to getting back here next year in 2015. And in the meantime, we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and have a safe holiday. But we'll see you back here, right here on the Women of Golf. Thank you, and have a great holiday season. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Ted. Have a great holiday. Yeah, you too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.